Yeah, thank you so much. Uh, I'm going to talk on PSN. I'd like to thank PCS for the opportunity for this and congratulations to PCS for a wonderful conference. It's been very good over the past 1 week, and I'm supposed to talk on branch PS renting. PS renting, we see a lot of what we commonly see is usually post-operative situations, but you could get PSN with other situations, native like Noonan syndrome, or when there's post-radiotherapy fibrosing amidness times. A lot of issues could be there, but what we commonly see is the post-op situation. It could be a difficult anatomy. You have to be very good imaging. You have to have access issues. Long-term issues are also there, but whether the stents will hold, whether they'll recover rehabilitation. This is an evolving specialty. This is the pulmonary artery stenosis, the first classification that came a Gaze classification depending on whether you got MPS stenosis or branch stenosis. So the etiology could be congenital, it could be fibrosis, it could be recurrent after balloon, or you could be post surgery that we commonly see. Imaging is very important because you have to have an echo. You suspect an echo, then you do a CAT, you do a CT scan. Sometimes when there's borderline stenosis, we actually do lung perfusion scan, look at the difference in perfusion between two lungs, and then decide whether we really need to do something or not. There could be access issues because difficult altered anatomy, like after a condu or after Lecompte maneuver, or any issues. There could be problems. There could be difficulty in accessing the MP and the branch pulmonary arteries. TR is always a complicating factor. LPS more torsion calcium in the RP, that could be an issue. Crossing condu could be a problem. Sometimes you have occluded peripheral vessels also. Sometimes you complex, you have IVC interruptions, so you really don't know where to go. Like this is a child who was an 8-year-old child who had tetralogy and had multiple surgeries, had a BT shunt at 1 month of age, and he had a very prolonged course. He had an ICR later, both all femorals were occluded. No question to go. Then we did transjugular route, tight LPS stenosis. RP was not too bad, so he underwent a transjugular LPS stenting. I'll talk of it later. With cath, you have to take multiple views, either AP crenal, RAO crenal, or LAO crenal, depending on what you have to customize each patient. Each patient is different. You have to see what works best. Look at stents with single, multiple, bilateral, or peripheral abrasion. You have to look at the landing zone because the stents may not be able, you may not have an adequate size stent or not. And like I said, syndromes like Noonan syndrome, it could be diffuse stenosis also. So basically, we do a cath, stage out, and then plan the procedure. Like I said, angiographic views could be proximal MP, or we also look at the AP caudal view. Sometimes we also look AP crenal and LAO caudal works very well for the LPA, and RPA we always look either AP or RAO crenal. These different views are there. This is a child. This is a child with a post tetralogy who had stenosis. You can see the first is the RV angio, and you can see a very small LP, not visible. And this is the MPA view in the AP view. This is also, and finally this is the view in the LAO cranial view, which actually outline the stenosis. You can see the LPA is quite angulate, very small. This was a difficult case for us. And the LPA can also, you can first use the lateral view, then you have AP caudal view, or called LAO cranial view. These are the views that we commonly see for the LP, and the RPA sometimes you visualize very well in the AP view, or sometimes the AP cranial view also. We have talked a lot of rotational angiogram from Neeraj and Dr. Shirdi have talked. This is not a child, this is an adult actually who had severe RPA stenosis. If you can appreciate this, the LPA is very small, it's a very tiny LPA. So the RPA, so we did a rotational angiogram to look at it, and if some of the cath lab machines can get a reconstructed, you can get a very fancy image that shows a good RPA, and so you have to go ahead. It's always advised to do a rotational angiogram sometime. Hardware like you need sheets, you need balloons, you need wires. Basically, you need bulky sheets, and you require very stiff wires for them. And lengths are plus minus, you never know what you'll get. Balloons, if you have a balloon mounted stand, that's okay, but otherwise balloons, the big balloon always favorite because it's a balloon and a balloon. Or so you have two balloons, so you have more for flexibility, more mobility. Sometimes you have high power balloons, high pressure, like Atlas may have to be used. Sheets, we always use king crescent braided sheets that give us more flexibility, more maneuverability. And wires, we use super stiff wire like an Amplats or sometimes Landau-Quist wire also. Like this is a balloon, the big balloon. It's a balloon. You have two balloons, one inside the other. You can see first. This is the inside is blue or indigo. So I is for indigo, I is for inside, and this one is the outer one is is orange. So that's how you know what is inside and what is out. You always inflate the inside one first, and then put the outside one. You have various types of stents, like we already talked. We have bare stent, balloon mounted stent, self-expanding stent, or balloon expandable stent. So I'll not go into the details. These are various stents that were available, and you have CP stents, you have Anderson, but very few are for PA stenting nowadays. But now we use this, but nowadays we use this Cook formula stent because this is has a relatively low profile and is a balloon expandable stent. And like Shiva said, this was the Zephyr stent, Indian stent, a varying length. And now they've actually come out with the smallest lens, 13 mm. That's a very good advantage for it. This another stent is being in the US. Ivan Zahn team have they call it Renata Minima stent, and they put in 6 piglets, and they found they could expand it later. Why do you need to read out? Because there could be somatic growth, and there could be stenosis later. What is successful stenting when you have an increase in diameter of more than 15% or PA pressures come? I'll just run through these. You need to take various measurements of the narrowest diameter and the pre and post. I'll skip to this. Basically, bilateral venous access, you have to arterial access, and we give heparin, and we always do a pre-dilation, especially if we've got a calcified or a condo patient. When you mount it on the stent, you have to ensure that it's mounted very well. The stent may slip off, so we seal it. We do crimping, and we also do crimping with umbilical tape. Sometimes you apply some contrast to the balloon so that it sticks. So we take multiple angios in different views, put the guide wire as distal as possible, and advance the whole stent assembly and take multiple shoots from the side arms so that you can get a view. This is the patient I told. This is a 8-year-old, 12-year-old girl with pulmonary atresia and stage procedures. She had a very tight LPS, if you can see here. And this is
then he can upload this time.
Yeah. The problem LP was at a very angle. It was difficult to put the wire across. So we first put the wire across, and we had to take a loop in the RA. Unfortunately, that would not support the sheath, so we had to inflate the balloon at the LP, and that's how we could put the sheath across. We were fortunate to have Shiva was with us. This is called coaxial technique. It went off very well, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to go good. As you can see, the sheath is across, and then we put a stent, and we put a stent across, we got a good result. This is another child who was a 2-year-old child, had truncal repair at infancy and at neonatal birth, came back. He had a severe stenosis, LPS, but in various views, but it's a very short segment. So we use the Zephyr stent. The minimum length that time was 18 mm, but they've made it at 13 mm. It went off very well. Like Shiva said, there's no foreshortening. It went off very well. The child doesn't fall up and is doing extremely well. This is the last stent. This is a child who had an RPS stenosis, and this is a self-expanding stent. If you can see very clear, as the sheath is being withdrawn here, you can see it's expanded. Self-expanding are usually not advised for high pressure situation like a PA or coarctation, but nevertheless we went ahead. This is a post procedure, showed some amount of stenosis, so we went a balloon dilation post procedure, and it went off well. Patients on follow-up. This is another child with a LPS. I just want to show that the wire actually straightens out the whole thing, so you get good this. And see, this is a very short lesion, and it took some time to position the stent. So we had to go in and out. Finally, we could position the stent and got a good result. And we had to do post balloon dilatation also, post stenting for a good result. Finally, the baby went home well. This is the child who had a bilateral femoral occlusion. We finally did stent through the jugular, which went off quite well. This is a child who had a condu 1 year back, came back on echo. It looked like a bilateral stenosis. See, our AP angio didn't show very well. It was the AP caudal actually showed. That's actually more than it was bifurcation stenosis, both RP and LPS stenosis. So this child will require double stenting like Shiva expressed. So when you have two lesions, you have to do simultaneous stenting both to avoid jailing. These are the various techniques for when we have bifurcation stents. Either put two wires, two stents together and inflate together. This sometimes you can load a stent over two balloons, so that one balloon RPA, one LPA, so that you get a good result. You don't jail any of them. These are customized. Like if you put one stent to the MPA to RPA, because the open cell stent, you can put a wire across and dilate the LPA also. I'll run to what are potential complications with stent or all. I'll just show you one. This is a child who underwent an angio. Just see the wire was being removed, and then it looked as a stent moved actually because it was very stiff wire. So this happened with when you get the stiff wire. But luckily there was no stent. Stent was very much in place. Went off very well. So this is the same. To summarize, PSN is quite difficult and LP is more difficult. But always have a distal bifurcation will need more planning, and initially you should always have someone by side have a good proctor to do that. Thank you for your indulgence. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nitin. Thank you, Dr.